Hey everyone, Aunt Balti here. Today I'm going to be bringing you the stats of the side event from the event to end all events called the Sydney Showdown. This was an open invite event to anyone who missed on day 2 for the main event, but it managed to get 100 players, which is very good, and being an open event, we got to see a lot of what people were wanting to play. So there were 100 players with 7 rounds of Swiss, and in the top 8 there were 5 unique decks across 5 archetypes. So the 3 Grixis decks, 2 Storm decks, a Bant Wheels, a Junland, and a 4-color Nadu deck, but 0 copies of any 8-point decks in the top 8, unfortunately. So for Junlands we had Kale, Storm we had Markovic, Bant Wheels was Maxwell, Grixis was Simon, 4-color Nadu was Annie, Storm was Brennan, and then Grixis in the hands of Daniel and James as well. The most played pointed cards differed a little bit from the main event. So here we can see 32 Deathrite Shamans, and then Force of Will, Tamiyo, Ragavan, Orcish Bowmasters, Misstep, Broadside, Psychic Frog, and then a couple of 16 copies. So Murktide, Clamp, Strip Mine, and Saga. Deathrite Shaman managing to overtake Force of Will from the move from the Saturday event to the Sunday event suggests more people were on mid-range decks than on blue decks. The top cards by point buy, Psychic Frog managed to go 2 for 2 on the weekend, being 36 points in total. And then joining Psychic Frog are Reanimate, which managed to hit 24, and Sol Ring, which managed to hit 18. But otherwise, mostly 1-point cards, as we would normally expect. The most played main board cards were very, very similar to the Saturday event, although there were a couple of slight adjustments. Dismember actually took it down this time, followed by Thoughtseize and Fatal Push. Baraghoth and Emperor of Moons were actually in the top 5 most played mainboard cards. Historically, when we've seen the top 10 most played mainboard cards, there has been 1 to 2 creatures, and they've almost always been 8th, 9th, 10th. The fact that Baraghoth and Emperor of Bones shared tied 4th place, very, very interesting to me. Following them, we had Inquisition, Bolt, Brainstorm, and Ponder. And then Deadpool was the 10th most played mainboard card at 42 copies. Kind of massive, in my opinion. 3 creatures in the top 10 suggests a very homogenized field overall. Although the fact that all 3 of the creatures were in the same color combination doesn't really surprise me to see all of them make it. But the fact that, we've gone from 1 creature coming in at 9th to 3 creatures cracking the top 10. Something of note for sure. The most played sideboard cards, pretty much the same as always. 2 Rebs, Ashok, Carpet, Hydroblast. Massacre, though, managed to hit 35 copies. And then Consign, Submerge. Blue Blast came in at 9th, which is an all-time low that I've seen for that card. And Consign being at 34 as well suggests that the field was very, very heavily dominated by non-blue decks. An Opposition Agent makes it into the top 10 for the first time. Given that it was a small event, the top pointed cards by top 8 conversion is going to look a little weird, but, Balance, Caracas, Time Twister, relatively niche. Tinker managed to max out, so 2 copies of Tinker in the room, and they both top 8'd. 2 Lotuses at 7.5, which meant 1 Lotus fell out. Mana Vault, Academy, The One Ring, Nadu, and Murktide. These cards all appeared in top 8 and did modestly, I would say. The worst pointed cards by top 8 standards, so this is basically the most populous cards that did not crack the top 8. We've got Misstep, Broadside, Fourth Earlingus, Reanimate, DT. Wrenn and 6, Sol Ring, Eyeball, Nethergoyf, Planar Nexus, and Snapcaster Mage. So really, really weird selection of cards here. You pretty much couldn't build a deck out of these particular points, which really suggests that anyone who was deviating slightly from a build of a deck that did well, to include any of these cards, ended up doing poorly. The top pointed cards by winning conversion factor. This table has a lot of 1 copies. Basically, one person showed up with the card and they had a 4-3 record or better. But Mishra's Workshop at 2, Academy at 3, and Lotus at 3. But here we can see these are the cards that had at least 3 copies in the room and also had good conversion factors. So a lot of copies in the room and they did reasonably well. So Academy, Lotus, Mana Vault, and Academy, Lotus, Mana Vault, the One Ring, Ancient Tomb, Planar Nexus, so the shops and Storm stuff is still going on. Netherglyph actually had a good showing. Urza Saga had a good showing. That was, again, most likely due to shops. Crop Rotation, and then Orcish Bowmasters having 13 copies convert to a 4-3 record is pretty impressive. It tied with Psychic Frog, but obviously, Psychic Frog is a more individually powerful card. And then Sol Ring, only a couple of copies, but they managed to sneak in. The worst pointed cards, so this is cards that appeared at least once that did not manage to convert any of the pilots into a 4-3 record. Lutri did the worst. Three Lutri players, none of them managed to get winning records. Goblin Recruiter, Intuition, Mana Drain, Uro, Breach, and White WPA all did relatively poorly. 2 players present, none of them converted. And if you look down at the bottom there, Renin 6, Snapcaster, Lurrus, Spellseeker, and Flage were cards that had at least 1 person convert to a 4-3 record, but they did the worst overall. The top unpointed cards, this is mostly a fun page, but Cemetery Gatekeeper, Faithless Looting, Fire Covenant, Magebane Lizard, Simian Spirit Guide, Tabernacle, Darkrit, Grim Monolith, Sylvan Scrying, and Wear and Tear. So these cards did very, very well overall. So every single copy of Cemetery Gatekeeper, Faithless Looting, Fire Covenant, Magebane Lizard, and Simian Spirit Guide and Tabernacle, every single person playing those cards went at least 4-3. For general archetype data, this is a little bit of a shift away from the Saturday event, which I've alluded to. So 21% for Blue Black X, or Blue X rather, and then non-blue midrange has jumped to 26%, which has overtaken the Blue X midrange decks. The combo decks at 16%, so slight drop. Aggro at 8%, midrange combo at 14%, which is a slight increase, I believe. Big Mana and Control both at 6 and 9%. And then 12 8-point decks in the room, and 2 of those pilots went 4-3 or better. So for the Saturday event, 1 out of every 6 8-point players converted to a winning record, and for the Sunday event, exactly the same, 1 out of every 6. So if you and 5 of your friends decide to bring an 8-point deck to an event, fingers crossed one of you manages to get a winning record. Once again, big shout outs to Pat, Isaac, the MTG Bazaar staff, the event staff, the judges, and the commentary team. I think everyone had a really good time over the course of the entire weekend. I personally thoroughly enjoyed the energy over the course of the 3 days, and the fact that, it's such a big weekend and 3 separate events all managed to get fired without any major hitches from what I could see is just very, very impressive. Stay tuned. I will be uploading a video about my particular version of the event for the weekend, but in terms of the stats, that is the Saturday event done and the Sunday event done. I don't plan on doing the Invitational just because it's a very, very different structure, but all of those deck lists are available if you would like to check them out. As always, link to the data and the presentation will be down below. But otherwise, Volty out.